to another episode of Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where we delve into the crucial insights and strategies that drive success and innovation in the world of business. I'm your host, Maheen, and today we are privileged to be joined by Matthew Pearson, a partner at EY Canada with a specialty in SR&ED and business tax incentives. Matthew's expertise serves as a beacon of guidance for companies navigating the intricate landscape of business tax incentives and the Scientific Research and Experimental Development Program, or SR&ED. We'll be exploring the wide range of grants available, the distinctive benefits of SR&ED, and how businesses across different sectors can leverage these opportunities. So sit back, take notes, and let's delve right in. Hi, Matt. On behalf of Canadian SME, I'd like to welcome you to our Small Business Podcast. How are you today?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Very thrilled to have you with us this afternoon. Matt, you bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in helping companies navigate the complex world of government grants and incentives in Canada. Now, in this particular episode, we'd love to delve into the different types of grants available, the unique benefits of SR&ED, and how companies from various sectors can leverage these opportunities. Now, before we even begin, can you please introduce yourselves to our audience and provide some background about your expertise in the field of SR&ED and business tax incentives?
Yeah, certainly. My background, I'm a partner at EY, and I help lead the technology sector for our incentives practice. And so we help companies with R&D tax credits and government grants and other types of incentives. And my background, I work at EY, but my background is very much on the technology side. And I did a PhD in telecommunications and worked down in the US for a little while, and then joined some startups back in Canada, and ultimately co-founded a company with two other people. And we helped grew that. We grew that to over 100 people, and we took it public on the venture exchange in Toronto. So I've been through the startup cycle before, and I can relate well to what people are going through in that space. And so what we do is we help clients access some of those types of funding, whether it's the R&D tax credit or government grants, things that help them fund their business without always giving away equity to do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, these programs, there's no doubt that they play a very crucial role in supporting, businesses across different sectors, fostering innovation and driving economic growth. Matt, what kind of government grants and incentives are available for companies in Canada? And can you provide some examples and briefly explain how they work?
Yeah, there's several different types of grants and incentives available. And probably the best way to think about it is the SR&ED program by itself, which is the flagship R&D tax credit that exists in Canada. That tends to be the starting point for a lot of companies. And, for better or worse, some companies rely very, very heavily on that program to help fund the early stages of their company. And so that's an important program for almost every business. Mm-hmm. And then in addition, there's a number of discretionary programs. Those are government grants or zero interest loans, other forms of financing that can help companies that are discretionary in nature. So that means that the company might be a perfect fit for those programs, but if the reviewer for some reason maybe doesn't like management or they have some other issue with the company, they don't have to give them the funding. Whereas in the SR&ED program, if the work you're doing qualifies for SR&ED, then then you're entitled to receive it. And that's the way that program works. So they're a little bit different in the way that they're structured.
Right. Now, when it comes to SR&ED, what sets it apart from other government grants and incentives, and how does it really benefit companies differently?
The biggest advantage of the SR&ED program, or some people call it SR&ED, is that the size of that tax credit can be very large compared to almost any other grant. So there's a federal component and a provincial component, but when those are combined and you add the overhead amounts that you're allowed to claim, for every dollar that you spend on eligible salary costs, it's quite possible to get back as much as 65% of those dollars in the form of a refundable tax credit, which means that you can get a check back for a sizable portion of what you spend on R&D. Mm-hmm. Most other grants, there are some grants that provide similar levels of funding, but there's no size limit to the SR&ED program. You can, as long as you're spending money to do that R&D, you're entitled to claim the credits for it. And like I said, it's a legislated program. So if you are doing the work, you're entitled to claim it.
Well, that's quite fascinating. Now, it's very evident that government grants and incentives can be a game changer for businesses. Now, Matt, let's address a very critical question. Are these grants and incentives available to any company, regardless of the sector they operate in, or are there specific criteria or requirements that companies need to meet?
Yeah, there's a big misconception, I think, especially for the SR&ED program and some of the technology focused programs, that they're squarely focused on white lab coats R&D type work, and that's not the case. We claim SR&ED for companies in oil and gas and forestry and life sciences, IT, almost any sector where there is some kind of technology or science involved with that work. There's often some component of that that's eligible for the SR&ED tax credit. So that's where we tend to focus. Whatever sector a company is in is really not relevant to the SR&ED program. It could be, doctors can apply for it, and manufacturing companies can apply for it. It really covers a really wide range of applicants.
Now, many companies may not have the time or resources dedicated to the application process for SR&ED or grants. What options or solutions are available for these companies, Matt? And is there any way to really streamline or simplify the application process?
Yeah, that is a challenge for a lot of businesses, is just finding the time. Well, for one, identifying that those grants and incentives are actually available and out there, to leverage. But then when they do, finding the time to go through that process and do it effectively. So that's where it can help to leverage some technology tools that are available. For example, we have a technology tool that's really focused on simplifying the SR&ED process, modernizing that process, and helping to collect the information that people need to throughout the fiscal year instead of waiting until the year is over. And it's also very important, and you'll hear it come up anytime someone talks to the CRA about the SR&ED program, collecting that documentation contemporaneously. That's their word. That's what they like to preach. Is it's critical for them. They're administering tax dollars, and they want to make sure that those dollars are being properly spent. And so there is a component to this whole process where we tell founders that if you're going to get, say, $500,000 of grant money or SR&ED money every year, you have to treat that like a $500,000 customer. So it does take an investment in time and some tracking, some commitment to overseeing that process in a trustworthy way, or getting help from trusted advisors to help administer that on your behalf. But it does take a commitment, but if people commit to it, it's an annual source of financing that companies can leverage, and it helps to offset some of the equity investments that need to come in. So if you can delay that next equity investment even by 6 months or 12 months, you might be in a very, very different position when it comes to your valuation. You might be able to do things that might cost you millions of dollars in valuation. If you could do them sooner before accessing those equity investments, you might be able to do that through SR&ED or through other grants.
No, excellent point. But it can be complex, and it is a very competitive process. But Matt, are there any strategies or best practices that you recommend to really streamline this process?
Yeah, I'd say the most important, and it's something that we talk to people about all the time, is not leaving this process until the year is over and then looking backwards and trying to identify what work you did that might be eligible for credits. You're far better off to prepare these claims in real time and collect that information throughout the year, and leverage SR&ED technology tools to do that. Leverage trusted advisors to meet on a regular basis and provide some formality to that process. Because the companies that do, it also demonstrates to your investors and to others, even customers, that you're leveraging every dollar that you get. You're able to leverage that into more R&D or more investment, back into the business. So it really does pay off. But being able to do that consistently throughout the year and make it part of your internal processes, rather than trying to do it after the fact, makes such a difference.
Mm-hmm. Now, Matt, if a company, for instance, is looking to expand globally from Canada, can a firm like EY Canada still provide assistance with government grants and incentives? And how can you support companies in their international expansion efforts?
Yeah, we have groups like mine throughout almost every company that we operate in across the globe. So hundreds of countries, and each of those countries is unique in terms of the types of R&D credits they provide or the grants that they administer. So it's very, very important to have some of those local insights. And so if a company is looking to expand overseas or even just to the US, we can provide some local support, with insights on those respective programs, how best to apply, when to apply, because some of these programs, some of them run out of money throughout the year and they get refunded again the following year. So it's important to know when to apply and what's important to those programs and how best to position the work that you're doing to leverage them as best you can.
Right. Now, some may wonder if technology tools or automation can help simplify the process of applying for SR&ED or grants. For example, ChatGPT, which is so trending now. Matt, what are your thoughts on leveraging tech in this field? And are there any tools or platforms that companies can use to automate just parts of this application process?
Yeah, things like ChatGPT. The advances there are incredible, and tools like that can help identify programs, even help craft some of the very rough applications for some of these programs. But so many of these programs, whether it's SR&ED or grants or government loans, all of these need, personal insights on your business and, on the sector, and specifically what those granting agencies are looking for, what those reviewers are looking for. And that's where ChatGPT is not the right tool for this. That's where you need somebody that does this every day and understands the programs and understands the people, the reviewers who are administering it. And that's probably where we add the most value is just being able to, go beyond what's out there publicly on the internet and really focus on what reviewers are looking for and how best to position the work that you're doing to best suit their specific mandate.
Mm-hmm. No, great insights there. Very valuable for sure. But Matt, as we near the end of our conversation today, is there anything else you would like our audience to know more about government grants, incentives, or the services that EY provides in this area? Any key insights or advice that you would like to share on our final note?
Yeah, I think it's important, again, just to create that incentive strategy for your business. So SR&ED, like I said, is very often the cornerstone of that. That's what a lot of companies focus on first. But there's so many other government grants and incentives that might also be applicable to your business that it's important to look at that holistically, build up a strategy of, these are the programs that we want to apply for over the next several years, and put the resources in place, put the help in place to do that, because that will provide you with some of that funding that you need to meet those early milestones, significantly increase your valuation before you need to go and get more equity financing. And really, having been there before, I know just how important it is to external investors looking at the business. Investors look for companies who can amplify the investments they're making in the business through government grants or tax credits. And just being able to show that you understand that whole space and you're able to leverage those programs that are available makes such a difference to the type of investor that you're able to attract when it does come time.
No, Matt, you provided valuable guidance on navigating this complex landscape. But thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise in government grants and incentives. We believe your insights have shed light on the opportunities available to companies in Canada. Thank you once again for being a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me.
As we conclude our enlightening conversation with Matthew, we hope you've gained valuable insights into the world of government grants, incentives, and the unique benefits of programs like SR&ED. It's clear that such opportunities can significantly contribute to your company's growth and innovation efforts. Before we sign off, we'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our exclusive banking partner, RBC. Their wavering support is invaluable. Our appreciation also goes to UPS, our exclusive shipping partner, for ensuring our logistics operations run smoothly, and Xero, our exclusive accounting software partner, for their indispensable role in streamlining our financial management. We'd like to thank Matthew Pearson again for his time and the invaluable insights he shared with us today. His knowledge and expertise in the field have indeed illuminated the path for companies navigating this complex landscape. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. We look forward to bringing you more enlightening discussions in the future. Until our next episode, this is Maheen from Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Stay innovative, stay inspired.